Well, hello all, and thank you for joining today's webinar. Today we're doing a vendor spotlight. From a manufacturing standpoint, we're looking at Epicor E10. My name is Chris Duvall. I'm Director of Industry Relations and Manager of Software Selection within Panorama Consulting Group. And today we have with us Rob Moyer, President of Comtech Solutions. He's going to introduce himself and do an overview of his company and Epicor here in a few moments. So thanks for joining us, Rob. And again, thanks for everybody's time today. To the first handful of first respondents to our website, to the webinar, we're giving away a free hour of consulting. Please try to take advantage of that. We've had some good conversations in the past with our clients, prospects, from a Panorama standpoint. What we're going to do today is look at a brief introduction, give you an overview of Panorama. We're going to talk about the latest trends that we've seen in the industry from manufacturing. And then we're going to switch it over to Rob and Comtech team. He's going to give us some of his overview of some of the solutions and trends that he's been experiencing. And then we'll jump into a brief overview of Epicor and then the application E10 itself. Here's a little bit on Panorama Consulting. We are a management consulting firm, standard management consulting lines of services. A few unique things that we do is, help digital strategy. So our clients, large and or small, most of them need some sort of digital strategy and technology assessment. Our bread and butter has always been software selection and change management. We help clients implement their software from a third-party independent point of view, and we are 100% independent of any of the ERP vendors that we work with. We also do some project recovery, and we do some ERP expert witness as well. This gives us some unique insights to projects that have gone wrong, either from a vendor standpoint and or a client standpoint. We also do reorganization from a financial, operational, or organizational side. In the middle are the industries that we focus on. Manufacturing and distribution has always been a large focus. We have a lot of professional services, government clients as well, nonprofit. And then within some of the manufacturing distribution, we have healthcare, medical supplies. A lot of our manufacturers and distributors are becoming more in retail mode. So we have retail, we have energy, agriculture, and food and beverage clients as well. And on the right-hand side, just a little bit about the Panorama team. We do have a global base of consultants, mostly focused here in North America, but do have a global presence in South America and Middle East as well. All of our people are certified one way or another from a standpoint of the Panorama certification. This really ensures that our clients are receiving the same processes across the board, independent of who the Panorama resources are. A brief snapshot of some of our clients that we work with. We work with a range of different clients, from startup companies with no revenues that have high expected growth, all the way to companies that are $20 billion plus, everywhere in between as well. What this does is gives us great exposure to standardized and best practices across all industries. Really gives us a well-rounded focus of experience. This is a snapshot of some of the vendors we work with. Here again, large and small. We've got tier 1 vendors. We've got tier 2 and tier 3 vendors, so vendors that work with large enterprises, groups like Epicor that are in the tier 2 realm. We've got some HCM, some human capital management and workforce management vendors that we've worked with and assessed. We also work with companies such as JDA and Manhattan for supply chain management. These are applications that kind of augment some of the shortcomings of an ERP system. You can see we have experience on the right-hand side with many different CRMs and a couple of mentions from a construction vertical as well. purpose of today's webinar is provide an overview of some of the most recent trends we've seen. We're going to do an interview with Comtech Solutions, listen to their most recent trends, and then get into some of the ERP E10 functionality from Epicor. I'm going to do a brief demonstration of the application itself from Rob. So moving right along here, in the trends that Panorama have seen, really got four major trends that we've seen at a high level. First, most of our clients are trying to digitize their supply chains. So not only optimizing information exchange, but really getting to different levels of information exchange within those supply chains. So, customers talking to vendors who are talking to their vendors who are talking back to customers, all from a digital aspect. Artificial intelligence and Internet of Things is certainly coming more into play. What we've seen from our vendors and from our clients is there's some artificial intelligence that comes that's actual practical application. Usually what we see is some sort of predictive analytics and machine automation working together with ERP workflow alerts and notifications. And then from the Internet of Things side, we're certainly seeing more shop floors with connectivity and machines talking to each other, machines speaking back to the ERP system and kicking off different processes. From our customer side, each of our customers is trying to improve their customer experience, and this is certainly the case with our vendors that we work with as well. Each of the vendors and customers trying to improve what working with each other looks like and trying to optimize that customer experience. And then best practices and standardizations. Most of our clients are certainly more willing now than ever to adopt best practices and standard out-of-the-box applications. We see this in a lot of financial, from the financial side, many AP processes, AR processes that can be standardized, whether you have multiple locations or multiple business units. And adopting best practices out of the box best practices from these vendors really reduces the risk, it reduces the cost and duration of an ERP implementation. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rob, and we'll learn a little bit about Comtech and Epicor itself.
So thank you, Chris. This is Rob Moyer with Comtech Solutions, and I'm going to take you through some of the trends that we've seen with our customer and prospect base over the last few years, especially in the last, I'll say 6 to 12 months. Talk a little bit about some of the drivers with our customer base, and then we'll get into some of the software features and demo. So here's an example of what we heard from a manufacturing customer advisory board, as well as some other customer forums that were recently conducted with Epicor. We recently met face-to-face with this board and kind of looked into the business trends that they're facing and where there was an opportunity for all of us to work together. And one of the key themes we heard was the increasing the throughput and expanding their capacity. And so I'm not going to go through every one of these today, but if you look and recognize some of the common themes between what Chris just presented and what we're saying here on our slide is certainly the throughput and capacity, the IoT and integration with your ERP system. It's not just the integration to your machines anymore with OEE. It's actually integrating to other controls within your shop floor. UX, the customer user experience being faster and simpler is a key point that everybody is concerned about. We'll go through that for a little bit. And then lastly, we want to touch on the talent acquisition and retention in today's job market. So we always talk to customers about the fact that there has to be a business reason to make the investment of time, the money, and the effort to change their ERP system or to implement a new one. Manufacturers that we talk to every day have a common theme that they're not going to change without having that business case present. So there's three bullets here. If this change doesn't improve productivity and operational efficiency, then it can't be justified. You need to be able to do more with less. In this restricted workforce market, you need to grow your company, increase top-line sales, improve profitability, but not just incrementally increase your headcount. And then we get to the improved customer experience. This has to make things better and faster for our customers. We have to be able to handle tighter tolerances in manufacturing, more compliance, lower cost, and shorter lead times. And if we can show that we've got the improved productivity, the improved customer experience, then there's probably a reason that we can make this change and position our company for growth. So there's really 5 business objectives that we hear commonly. First one is about automation. They want to automate everything that can be automated. They want to use electronic approvals and workflows. They want to connect to machines and provide two-way integration of those machines, and they want to eliminate manual processes and data entry. User adoption is really important. They want to provide a tool that's easy to use, allows new employees to get up to speed quickly, and gives them access to training at their fingertips. The system must be intuitive and as easy to use as a mobile device that they're used to using at home. Making profitable decisions is a key business objective. They have to have visibility into what jobs are profitable, what jobs are either very low margin or worse yet, losers. The information can't be information they have to dig far to get to. It has to be something they can get to quickly and easily. Of course, we all want to do more with less. The ability to scale the organization without adding additional resources and or costs is imperative to their need. And then lastly, they want a system that fits their organizations now, but will grow with them in the future. They want to be able to add the functionality as needed and not have to purchase items that they don't need to when they implement the system. So then we talk about some individual business drivers. Of course, we talked about improving the productivity and operational efficiency. And you can see some of the daily experiences here and what the negative consequences are. We all deal with that on a regular basis. Running manual spreadsheets, lack of real-time data, constant workarounds to the software, inefficient processes, having duplicate systems and duplicate people entering information into these systems, and of course that results in employee frustration. And then the consequences, I don't need to read them down the list to you, but we all see them as we deal with these manual processes on a daily basis. And here's the future state. Here's what we're trying to get to with the improved productivity and operational efficiency. We're getting the real-time visibility. We're getting the data we need. We're getting the automation with the barcoding and integration. One system with one single version of the truth. And of course, having that visibility within our software to see data about our customers, our supply chain, our demand, our supply, to be able to make real-time business decisions. And then we talk about improving the customer experience. So giving them visibility into our system, giving them the data they need when they need it, having the ability to give them accurate estimates and quotes, and then of course the duplication of effort, and then the negative consequences to that to our customers. Lost productivity is a key one if we're not doing things efficiently. And tribal knowledge, as you can imagine, is always a key issue with our customers. And then again, the future state. So again, from a customer experience, having one source of information for that customer, getting them accurate data when they need it, having the ability to track the information around that customer within the software, and then being able to track data around the activities within that customer whether it's sales and quoting, whether it's jobs and manufacturing, or whether it's financial data. And then the improved business outcomes that are related to those particular future state items. So one of the slides that I wanted to bring up and mention is actually a study that Panorama Consulting did back in 2018. And there's really three sections of this slide. And the first one shows the confusion regarding ERP implementations. You can see here 60% of ERP implementations deliver less than half the expected benefits. You can see here that 21% of projects don't go live. Many of them are over budget, and 3/4 of them take longer to implement than planned. And then we wonder why that is, and when we look at the last blue section, we can see that 72% of the projects are really looking more at features of the software than business processes and business benefits. So why do people change? Because the system's no longer meeting their needs. But the problem is, if they make this change for the wrong reasons, they're going to be doing this again within a few years. So we talk about, as we build out this slide, changing that selection cycle. So the combination of a poor initial fit and long-term inflexibility leads to the need for a new ERP system, but unfortunately, many manufacturers repeat that cycle over and over instead of really running the selection process correctly and looking for the right drivers for that ERP system. So again, back to the initial slide that we started with, if we've got that improved productivity and efficiency, we've got that improved customer experience, we'll be positioned for the growth of the company and make the right choices moving into that ERP system. So a couple quick slides about Epicor as a company and Comtech as a company. So Epicor has about 20,000 customers globally. There are a few products that they represent. They have about 3,800 employees. They do business in about 150 countries and about $1 billion in revenue. And then Comtech, we have about 250 customers, mostly in the eastern U.S. We have about 50 employees, 2 locations, one in upstate New York and one in Connecticut. And we've been in business for about 25 years and been an Epicor partner for about 16 years. So with that, we'd like to get into a demo of the software. So as you can see, when I first open up the software here, this is Epicor ERP 10, as Chris stated earlier. And when I first log into the software, this is my home page that I would expect to see as a salesperson or as an office, a CFO or a COO, depending on who I am and what access to the information I need. So just taking you around this user interface to get you kind of familiar with what this looks like. On the left-hand side, I've got my menu bar. Down here on the bottom, I've determined that when I log into the software, I'm English speaking, so that's what's going to display. We do support about 40 different languages globally. On the top, you can see that when I log into the software, I'm currently logged into one particular company, but I have the ability to run as many companies in the software as I need. And then I also have the ability to log into multiple sites. So if I have different warehouses or different plants or different physical locations, I can manage those as well. Up here on the top search bar is what we call enterprise search. And if I have a customer that calls up and says, listen, I've got a certain part number or purchase order number or invoice number, I can start by searching the entire database for that piece of information. And then as you can see here in the tags cloud, you can see that I've got quotes, I've got part transactions, I've got orders and jobs. Maybe I'm looking for a certain job. I can click on that job and then be able to see all the different jobs I'm running for that part number, and then be able to right-click and drill into the different information I need about that job. Maybe I need to log into the scheduling board and see what's going on, where that job is in my schedule today. Very easy to do so from here in the search. The ability to find information within the software, not only do I have my ability to see the key metrics that I have, but I can also easily search for information using the enterprise search. Another thing we like to show right out of the gate here is our ability to get easy access to help. So we talked about the ability to quickly onboard new employees or bring them into the fold and get them up to the speed on the software. So whether they need access to a certain snippet, there's multiple videos that they can log in and see how to access information in the software. Or maybe they need to log in and get into the different application courses, they can do that as well. So all of the ability to get help within the software, whether it's an education course, a video, etc., is all right here in the application. So then from there, we'll run in and kind of look at the customer tracker. This is where we always typically like to start. This gives me that 360-degree view of my customer. So of course I can get access to all the information about that customer, whether it's financial data, whether it's different invoices or payments that have been made. I can come over here and see all of the quotes for this customer and be able to right-click, drill into that quote number and take a closer look at it. If I want to go in here to my order sheet, see all of my open orders, maybe all the orders that this customer has placed. And if I want to do some analytics from this point, I can right-click and say, I want to just take a certain field and group by that field. Maybe I want to see how many times this customer has purchased a certain part number from me, so I can get that information very quickly. And maybe I want to see how much they've spent on that particular part number. I can show a summary, and then I can say, give me the total, and I get access to that information very quickly. So instead of having to call IT and say, I need a report to get this information, I have a way as a user to do quite a bit of data analytics, and then go ahead and save that off for future use. And then I've got my manufacturing jobs. So if I want to, again, right-click and be able to jump into the job scheduling board and see what's going on with that particular job, I can do that as well. And then I've got the other different tabs, which we're not going to have time to get into all those tabs today. But that gives you a kind of a comfort level for what the user interface looks like and how we use it. One other thing that I wanted to show quickly is the ability to, let's say I were to go into my financial data and pull up all the open invoices for that customer, and I want to right-click and I want to copy it to Excel and do some additional analytics, or maybe I want to send a copy of all of that data to the customer so they can see their open invoices. I can very easily do that as well. So that's kind of the customer tracker. Now we're going to jump in and kind of show you the flow of the data from getting a quote to a sales order to a job, and really talk about some of the electronic workflow in the software. And then from there, we'll touch on some dashboards. So this is my quote screen for this particular quote. So I've got a quote number 1185 set up for Dalton Manufacturing. If I look at the line of that quote, this is my part number, that's my description. I've got a pricing structure here. And if I want to take a closer look and see the manufacturing data, you can see I've got multiple sub-assemblies around it, operations and materials for those assemblies. So I build out this quote with all of my different raw materials, all of my different sub-assembly components, all of my different operations. And then ultimately the software is going to tell me how I should quote this based on the different materials and labor and burdens of contract, adding up my markup and giving me an overall suggested price. And then ultimately I can decide what I want to charge. And then if I've got any drawings attached to this particular part, I can open those prints up very easily. So any user in the software, when they see these links, can double click on them and open up those documents. And it makes it very easy to pass data from quoting to order to job, etc. So then once I've got that quote built and sent off to the customer, and they decide to go ahead and purchase the item, place the order, I can very easily turn this quote into a sales order, and then ultimately into a manufacturing job. So as I look at the sales order for this particular quote, you can see that the screens are very similar. So the training the training and the adoption for my end user is very easy. You can see here that all of the information flowed to the line, the pricing, etc. But what I want to show you here as well is some of our electronic workflow capabilities. So if I have a particular sales order here, and I have a salesperson that wants to enter a discount for that order, they can certainly do that. But as I control the different workflows within this data, maybe I've got a 15% discount, and when that happens, it's showing my user that, you know what, maybe you've done something that you need to be a little cautionary on, so we turn it yellow. Then we can take that a step further. If we give it a higher discount, we get an error message on that particular field. It's also turning it red and showing the user that they've done something that maybe they shouldn't have done. But we're also going to start a workflow up right now, which tells us that that discount is definitely not going to just automatically happen. I can put a reason code in for why I gave that discount. And then when I send that off for approval, what's happening is the system is putting that order on hold and automatically emailing my manager that I've done something that might be questionable. Now again, it's not about the sales order and the discount I just provided. It's really more about the workflow that I can create and automate in my system. So when you're implementing the software in your business, you can generate the same type of workflows. So if I come over here to my email, you can see that the system just automatically emailed me. It says order number 5657 with a discount of 35%. The reason code is that we're doing a webinar today. And if I have a mobile device, I can easily open up that link and review that order as a manager and determine what I want to do with it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and reply to that. And I'm going to approve it. But I'm going to come down here and say, you know what, we're really not going to do 35%. We're going to do 22%. And we're going to send that off. And so in the background, Epicor is monitoring that mailbox and looking for that inbound email or the interaction back and forth. And so when I refresh that sales order, you're going to see that it's now come off of hold, and the discount was changed to the 22% that I authorized in my email or in my manager's email. So whether it's a sales order, whether it's an AP approval process, an invoice process, you can set up these electronic workflows to manage your business. So then, now that I've got that sales order with the customer, I've got the commercial terms worked out. There's multiple ways to turn this the sales order into a manufacturing job for the shop floor. And one thing you'll notice is having this job flow into my, or this quote flow into my order and flowing into my job. You'll notice all of the data flows over with my assemblies, my operations, my materials. I've got my dates that I need to meet that customers need. One of the things you'll also notice is all of the attachments that I had on that quote flowed all the way to the job throughout the system. So if I need to get in here at this point and open up my job scheduling board and see what's actually going on in this job, very easy for me to not only jump into that scheduling board, look at the assemblies, drill into the details, but I can also come in here on a manufacturing shop floor and actually make changes to that schedule. So maybe the customer called up and said, listen, I really need you to expedite something. Or maybe my supplier called up and said, you know what, we need to get these things here earlier for some outside heat treating, so can you send them over and reschedule? And so I'm able to reschedule that right here from the job scheduling board, which will automatically update the rest of the system as needed. So you'll notice as I move from screen to screen, whether I'm in my customer tracker, whether I'm in my opportunity or quote, whether I'm in my sales order, or whether I'm in my job, the screens are all very similar. The data is all formatted the same way. And again, it makes that user adoption very easy, the training very easy for those customers. So then I'm going to jump into some of my dashboards and kind of walk through a few of those just to give you an idea of what information can be available. And again, it's not really a focus on which dashboards I'm showing you, because in the limited time today, we only have a few to show. But it's really a matter of if the data is in the system, it can be displayed and generated in a dashboard. So here's an example of a job cost exceptions dashboard. So this is all jobs running in my factory today. And I've got my job number, my part number, the dates, estimate versus actual, and then of course each category, whether it's material, labor, burden, or subcontract, and then of course red is bad. So if I've got something running over, you can see that my costs are running over. Now maybe I want to jump in and see what's going on. I can right click again from any key field like that, look at the job status dashboard, look at the job tracker, look at the scheduling board and see what's going on with that job. Another dashboard we like to show is a quote analysis. So again, just an example of a dashboard to show you, what kind of sales campaigns are we running and where is the revenue coming from? How many quotes or opportunities are we doing by state? What's the revenue by state? What's the quotes by territory? What's the quotes by product group? So that ability to have that real-time data in front of you, and again, anywhere where you have that key field, you can just right-click and drill down into that data and get access to it. The other nice part about these dashboards is they can be, that they're not just read-only, they can be updatable dashboards, and so I can update information around in the system without having to drill down and go into these other screens. Another one is customer quality. So maybe I want to look at my returns by product group, or my returns versus shipments, or my reason code, my returns by reason code. I can do that as well. Another one that's nice to see is expenditure by supplier. So I want to see, where am I spending my money with my supply chain? By group. Am I spending a lot of money on the steel suppliers, or am I spending it on miscellaneous or maybe some intercompany transactions? If I've got multiple facilities, and then I can drill down into the details around that as well. And a couple other screens that I wanted to show you briefly is the ability. So we started out this brief overview with a default home page for maybe a salesperson, but if I were logging in as a different individual, you can see that I can have a different view with maybe my financial information, with accounts receivable, my days past due, my past due balance, some links to some outside programs. And then if I was a different person in the organization, maybe a sales operations person, I can see my gross margin. I've got my sales order, open order count, maybe some gross margin or AR balance information. So really based on the user that is logging into the system, you can have their each individual profile set up. And then we can never leave out our finance people. They don't like it when we leave them out of these demos. So I like to end the note on our financials and the ability to integrate with Microsoft Excel, because most of our financial people are Excel-based users. So you can certainly run your financials directly out of the Epicor ERP 10 platform, or you can use an integration to Microsoft Excel. And maybe we want to see, a dashboard with my rolling 12-month profitability or my year-to-date forecast or actual. Maybe look at, an income statement in a nicer view. My aged receivables, give me some information around that. And the nice part about it is I'm very easily able to modify these reports. As an example, if I had a income statement here that I maybe wanted to blow out over the next couple of months, very easy for me to just drag and drop that information and then get a view into the next few months. And this is a real-time integration to my software. This isn't static data. So that's kind of a little view into the financial capabilities of the software, just to give that look and feel. So with that, Chris, I'll stop there and kind of hand this back over to you.
Great, thanks, Rob. Appreciate the overview of E10 there. And real quick, just want to remind folks of our free hour of consulting from the Contact Us portion of our website. And we'll take a couple of questions here. Wanted to put up Laura Florence's information. Laura is Director of BD. So please jot her information down, send her an email if you'd like to communicate with us. Laura's a great person for the role. She spent many years from a client side, client-facing and client services side here at Panorama, so she knows the business and our processes very well. So Rob, a couple quick questions here. If you could explain the entry point, what types of sizes of organizations are implementing Epicor E10?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we see if you look at really the sweet spot of the software, you'll see that the companies that'll range from a 25 to 250 million in revenue, and that's a big span. I would say the entry point, we've got customers that'll come in at the 10 million mark, the 10 to 25 million, where when you say entry point, they could be looking at where they're not on an ERP system and they're just starting the journey, or they're on a system that's really not meeting their needs, and maybe they're a little larger to get into that entry point. But we have customers that are again 10 to 20 million in revenue, and then we have customers that are well north of 250 that are running the software successfully.
Good, thank you, Rob. And then can you explain from a ComTech point of view what the top three verticals within manufacturing you see success in?
Yeah, so there's really I would say the top three verticals that we deal with is aerospace and defense. Especially here in the Northeast, we have a lot of customers that are suppliers to either to the government directly or a prime. And they've got traceability requirements with serialization and lot tracking and some of the security requirements around aerospace and defense. So certainly that's one of the top three. I would say the second would be fabricated metal. We have a lot of job shop type companies and sheet metal companies that we work with. And then I would say the third would be medical device. So that's, of course, especially here in the Northeast and on the East Coast, been a big driver. And customers, again, have that need for that serialization and those controls. And certainly Epicor has been able to meet those needs quite nicely.
Great. Thank you, Rob. And thank you very much for your representation of ComTech and the overview of Epicor itself. And thanks everyone for attending today's webinar. And looking forward to speaking to anybody who is responding to the first free hour of consulting there. And again, thanks for your attendance and take care.